Hello and welcome to PCMag Live. I'm Dan Costa, he is Sascha Segan, and this is a special edition of PCMag Live. It is PlayStation 4 launch day, as you can see. We've got a great show for you today. We're going to talk about the latest PlayStation 4 news. We're going to talk about some other great news stories. We're going to talk about the PlayStation in our review, and we're also going to answer some of your reader questions. So Sascha, let's get right to it. I've been waiting for a very long time for this day to be able to buy a PlayStation 4. I want to buy one today, and I'm having serious problems getting one because I've looked online and there is nowhere to get a PlayStation 4 today.
And of course, that's because you are unwilling to leave your basement. And the PlayStation 4
My
sales...
office. I'm unwilling to leave the office.
Okay, the PlayStation 4 sales strategy right now really privileges people who actually get out onto the street in the blinding sunlight that might hurt their skin. And then if they go to physically a Walmart or a Best Buy, they will probably find a PS4. If you go online, you will probably not find a PS4. So if you want this gaming system with this awesome game of Injustice that's playing on it right now, you need to get off that couch, off that chair, into your car, over to the store, and you will get the game you want.
That's right. And we just finished our full review, all the online features, all the games. We gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Really kind of an impressive system, and we still have leaving some room to test out the Xbox One.
Yeah, I'm a little bit nervous because, I mean, did we give this an editor's choice?
We did.
And we haven't tested the Xbox One yet.
We did not.
Okay,
However,
I'm a little nervous.
Different price points, slightly different packages. They've got a different value proposition. The Xbox One does a lot more than the PlayStation, but the PlayStation, I don't think anybody's really going to switch over the reviews of these new generations. Both boxes aren't backwards compatible, so you're going to have to buy all new games anyway. I think people are going to stick with the platform that they care about and that they love. So far, sales seem like they were going pretty well. It's obviously too early to tell, but they're totally sold out online.
I mean, you never know during these first day things whether the sellouts are because something is tremendously popular or because there was distribution problem or relatively little inventory. I mean, we'll see this over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, whether these sold really well or whether they just were not stocked very well.
Yeah, we're going to get back to PlayStation a little bit later in the show. Let's talk about a product that is not selling very well and not selling out, and those are BlackBerries. BlackBerry got more bad news today. Pfizer has announced that its 92,000 employees are moving off the BlackBerry platform because the company finds BlackBerry too, quote, volatile to be a platform that they want to back. And this comes on the news that just yesterday, the Pentagon and its 470,000 employees were looking at other options to move off BlackBerry. Sascha, we're going to see a lot more of these stories. Big companies who have standardized on BlackBerry looking for alternatives.
Yeah, the Pentagon is the Pentagon is really the center of the entire BlackBerry business world, with those 470,000 employees who are forced to use BlackBerries because it is the only system that is verified for use within some of the military's most secure systems. So the fact that they are starting to look for other options is really writing on the wall for BlackBerry. And just nobody knows what this company is going to do next. Everybody's really losing faith in BlackBerry to have a long-term strategy at all.
Yeah, and both Google and Apple have both provided a lot more security on their platforms and are starting to court this business audience because they see an opportunity here. I think it's a big opportunity for Microsoft too. I mean, Windows Phone is sort of positioning itself to be the third player in the smartphone market, and it's got a lot of advantages for businesses.
Well, Microsoft just introduced some new features, enterprise features for Windows Phone in their GDR3 software release that just came out, and some more Windows Phone enterprise features are going to be rolling out soon. From the Android perspective, actually, the most intense stuff isn't coming from Google, it's coming from Samsung with this Samsung Knox, which they've gotten military certified. So I'm sure we're going to see Samsung people in there in all of these, government purchasing meetings, trying to tear people away from BlackBerry and over to Galaxy.
Indeed. So I actually just got a conversation with somebody yesterday about this, talking about mobile payment solutions and when they were coming, what they were going to look like, how they were going to work. I checked the news. Turns out ISIS, one of the largest mobile payment platforms out there, is finally available nationwide. It's available on Verizon, AT&T, and
T-Mobile, but it isn't available yet. It's available soon, and it's just so typical ISIS.
ISIS is a mobile payment platform that is being developed by the wireless carriers that will allow you to make retail purchases using your phone. It's going to work on multiple carriers, and it's one option out there, and possibly a promising one but we've been getting these promises for several years now, and it still hasn't rolled out in the real world.
And what they still don't get is that there has to be a certain level of universality for especially retailers to pick this up and decide to invest in the new point of sales equipment that they need to make this happen. So ISIS is 3 carriers, not 4. Sprint still seems to be on board with Google Wallet. And also, I'm concerned about the ISIS iPhone situation. ISIS is NFC based. Apple has decided not to use NFC at all, and they've gone their whole own direction with mobile payment systems.
So ISIS will work on these carriers, but not if you have an iPhone, pretty much ever.
Well, what's happening is ISIS says they're going to have an iOS app, but I'm not entirely sure what the functionality of that will be, given that it won't have NFC, so it won't have the tap to pay. And these uncertainties and these confusions and these who is a partner and who isn't a partner, that's what's been slowing down this whole mobile payment thing all along, and I don't see this being solved.
Yeah, there are still too many big players that aren't willing to compromise. That the banks are still not on board because they want to protect their revenue. I actually think the biggest player in the space that could do the most interesting things is Square, which is sort of got that startup mentality. They're not beholden to anybody. They're going their own way. They are just trying to solve problems for both consumers and businesses, and they don't mind starting small and growing organically.
Now, along with ISIS, I'm really intrigued by this new product we've been hearing about called Coin. Coin is an electronic credit card. And the innovation here is that it has a magnetic swipe strip on the back. So you load the data from your credit and loyalty cards into this physical card, which is the size
using
of
like a card skimmer. So
yeah,
it comes with a card skimmer, and you just it's like cloning your card, and you can clone multiple cards onto this one device.
Yeah, and then it'll work in anything with a Stripe reader, which is pretty much anything in the United States. Now, what I'm curious about with Coin is, once again, how the retailers will feel about this, how the retailers will feel especially about someone handing over a card that doesn't look like a card and doesn't have the standard security and identity features that frontline retail employees expect from a card.
Yeah, it's I mean, so there's a button on it, so you change which magnetic swipe you want it to express. And then once you pick that, you give it to the user, to your salesperson, and they swipe it just like a normal card. So electronically, it looks exactly like your bank card, but in fact, it actually is a little piece of hardware that can store multiple cards. That's not going to be available until next summer, so there's a little bit of time to work out the details, but kind of a fascinating development.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a revolution, but it's a really interesting experiment.
Very, very cool. Let's get to our question of the day. We've got a question from Dan, not me, who has an HTC One, loves his HTC One, loves it so much that he's finding himself using it all the time, and is worried that he's going to use out his phone, and so he's considering buying a tablet to use at home so that he can somehow extend the life of his HTC One. Is this something people really have to worry about?
Well, there are two things that can happen to your phone generally within its life that will imperil it. One is that it will get dropped, damaged, broken, shattered, water poured on it. Okay, you can solve this with a good case, or maybe even just a clear screen protector, like an invisible shield. And the HTC One is just such a beautiful material that I would just say put an invisible shield over the screen and leave the back naked, because
it's a metal. It's not a plastic phone. It's a metal phone.
And it's relatively durable. The second issue is battery. The batteries in these things basically only really have 2 years worth of recharge cycles. And that's the concern. I mean, if you don't want your phone to be used up in 2 years, you have to not charge it every day, and then you do end up using it less, but you're probably going to get a new phone in 2 years anyway,
yeah,
right?
I would tell Dan not to worry. I mean, if you love the phone, it'll last 2 years. The battery will start to fall off, but that's not the end of the world. In 2 years, your contract will be up. You're going to be in the market for another phone. I think HTC will still be around in 2 years. They may have a newer, better, faster version of the HTC One.
Yeah, they'll have like the HTC One, 2, 3 or something.
Yeah, this is why we upgrade. So I wouldn't worry about having to protect your phone. They're pretty reliable. I would just save your money and spend it on the next version of the HTC One. So that's our advice for you, Dan. Let's talk about one cool thing. We get thousands of products into the lab for testing. This is one of the most exciting things.
We know what the cool thing is today, Dan.
The cool thing is the PlayStation 4 on sale today in retail stores. Harder to find online, as we talked about at the top of the show. But kind of a fantastic platform. I think the best thing about the PlayStation, and it's funny, even Xbox users will tell you this, the controller on the PlayStation, especially the PlayStation 4, blows away the Xbox. it just blows it away. It feels so much better in the hand. It's so much better for a variety of games.
And the platform in general seems much more tuned towards people who like traditional controllers and a more traditional gaming experience than the Xbox. I mean, if I think about what people have been saying about the Xbox One, Microsoft they're doubling down, tripling down on Kinect. And if you are not on board with Kinect, you are not embracing the Xbox One experience. Whereas with the PlayStation 4, it's got that little camera. Is that in frame? The camera? Okay, well, there's a little camera on top of the. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
There's a little camera on top of
the
PlayStation 4 here, but it's not 100% critical for enjoying the PlayStation 4 experience.
And the camera has some kind of facial recognition built into it. I heard you guys were playing with that yesterday when I was out of the office, and some fun was to be had. Can you tell me a little bit about what was going on?
Yeah, well, the facial recognition is really basic, and it can be fooled by various things. For instance, if you take a good photo of your face and put it on a tablet, and then you show that to the camera, it'll be recognized. Or, say, if you're wearing Groucho Glass. Okay, if you're wearing Groucho Glass and you put the Groucho Glass on someone else.
Groucho Glass from a couple episodes where Sascha actually wore a phone on his face.
Yeah, it's my Google Glass competitor. Mm-hmm. But if you're wearing Groucho Glass and then you put the Groucho Glass on someone else, apparently it recognizes the nose and mustache as the facial recognition. And then, okay, so the facial recognition is not high security here. It's kind of fun to play with. I think we also fooled it with an Iron Man mask.
Okay.
So
some room for error.
That's going on. But if you look on PCMag.com and ExtremeTech.com over the next couple of days, there's just going to be tons of playing with the PlayStation 4 and figuring out what it can do and what it can't do and all of that good stuff.
Very good. You can read our full review of the PlayStation 4 on PCMag.com. If you want to find out how to hack the PlayStation 4 camera, you can read about that on ExtremeTech.com. That's what they were doing here in the labs yesterday. I want to thank you for joining us for PCMag Live. Remember to ask us questions via email, on Facebook, on Twitter, and we will answer them live on air. We're going to get back to some game playing. We hope to see you on Monday. Thanks for joining us.